picks went down so late.
So we're going to get into the rest. We get to see it in the TV2 fairly soon anyway. But yeah, when you do see that Aphelios, I mean, when it's in the hands of someone like Nata, who is just so crazy on that champion. I mean, one of the first week games, I was sat there going like, this guy is playing so aggressively, but still getting away with it because he's really good at what he does. Playing that into the Varus, yes, Varus is someone that has, well, for many seasons, kept a lot of the long-range AD carries out of the meta because he outranges them too and he outpokes them.
Yeah.
Varus is not nearly as strong as he used to be, but is slowly starting to creep his way back in.
He absolutely is. And now we've got ourselves, with Varus creeping onto the Rift, everybody else is as well. That was not the best transition I've ever gone for, but it's the one I have, and so I'm going to take a break from doing that and instead maybe have not a kick out, like, a little bit more of a conversation.
You're not a creep, you're not a weirdo, you do belong here, and other Radiohead-related references.
I have got a radio headset on my head right now as well, so it's all coming together. That's brilliant. My name is really Tom York. I won't start singing various Radiohead songs quite yet. There's 12 steps before that. Yes, I made that reference, and I'm sorry.
I actually don't get that one.
That's a really good song.
Yeah, cool. I will listen to that at some point.
I believe that's what it is. That'll be where I show my actual lack of Radiohead
we've gone
knowledge.
From Goldborg, who doesn't know who Pendulum are, to us with our musical whatever it is.
Go tweet at Goldborg, guys, because he actually didn't know who the hell Pendulum was, and or were rather. It's not.
Well, we'll say which way the pendulum swings in the spot lane, of course, with that TV2 being kind of the height of concern from your narratives pre-game. We don't have any vision put down from level 1s. Both of these support champions, notorious for their level 1s, but neither team feeling bold enough, again, we're going to keep using that word, to try and mount a foray into the enemy jungle.
Okay, so Haru starting on his red buff. Not stopping there, that would be a bit of a weird one. He just stops there forever, just not moving, just stay there.
Red buff's too much for me.
Yeah, that's a new level of flexing. On the other side, though, it is Kana with support starting up that red buff and then going towards the top side. MNM with a bit of a dive comp, honestly. Hecarim goes in, Royal Cannon follows up, so does the Nautilus and Dr. Chaos.
The very first game that they played, they had a very back-to-front, crazy teamfight ultimates. Actually, they were against Bifrost, I believe, in that game. He played the dive comp against them. So, again, we're still kind of hanging around the same part of the meta. And now we have to see, actually, MNM, you look more cohesive. Are you cohesive enough to take down this seeming titan of our region, X7?
Yes, indeed. And there has been a bit of a discussion here about, you know, what does it take to take down X7? We've seen some of the...
But we don't know yet. We've not seen anyone take it down.
That's the reason I'm saying it's an open-ended question, because literally nobody has found the answer as yet. I mean, obviously X7 have occasionally picked up slightly flex comps, as we've said, in the sense of just like out-muscling, micro-mechanically. That's probably the most awful way of phrasing that ever. But the point stands that, like, despite
an essay where you have to reach a word limit.
Yes, that was it. That was actually me. Just but that wouldn't fill the word limit. That's the character limit's not a thing. It is always word limit. Take it from the guy who's written a few too many papers in the course of his academic career.
Well, if I were to ask you a question then on X7 and have 15 marks discuss, they have this TF first in the region.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm very interested in that, and it is Temps TF. We keep putting that nameplate on them too. I mean, what does MNM for you, actually, as the play-by-play, have to do to excite you enough to say, actually, maybe the TF was or wasn't worth it?
Press R on him.
Cool. Nice.
That's pretty much it.
Okay,
Okay,
So
now that I'm going to throw that back at you and go, okay, now that I've given you the play-by-play, like, you know, exciting colours answer. What do you actually think they do need to be doing here?
Well, that's kind of one of my issues, right? So you're kind of walking his way up to this top side, but Hecarim is not known for his 2v2 potential pre-6 on any side of the map. He loses every 2v2 in the game pretty much pre-6. Now, if you have Haru and Temps who are, again, have this such amount of pedigree around them, playing around lanes which are very strong too, I'm worried that actually, you know, MNM aren't going to maybe be able to make an impact onto TF before he's already drawn blood somewhere. And at that point, it's the question of actually, MNM, what can you do to kind of like staunch the bleeding, staunch the first TF ult, and then return to that question a little later when Hecarim's ready to fight? Because he's obviously level 4 right now. Let's ask that question in 2 levels. Let's see what happens at that point.
Okay, well, speaking of asking questions, though, Kasing has managed to answer a few for X7 because there was a nice little Roman award there
my over-under.
You literally had the arrows on screen.
I don't know what was in my head, man. It was a strange time.
You made the
I feel like I've grown a lot since that moment.
You know,
it was a long time ago, almost an hour ago.
Yeah, that's true. I mean... There you have it, as Babista going to take a bit of a nasty trade there. Of course, Gwen does get to immune a lot of the end of the line damage by throwing down the W as it comes back and making sure that Q is a little bit impotent there from the Graves.
We have seen this matchup so many times across LCK and LPL. I believe I'm trying to remember which region is more prevalent.
So Graves was highest priority top in the LCK for a while.
Gotcha. Yeah. So over like a couple of weeks of them playing out a lot of Series 2, we've seen this matchup go completely both ways. I'm actually none the wiser as to who's meant to win this matchup, but what we do have from Graves is, the ability to maybe build those Merc Treads against double AP threats and also, get that extra nasty versus someone like the TF coming up. Actually, one of the interesting things about this draft, kind of going back a little bit again, because, it's a bit of a quieter early game, both these junglers kind of roaming around the map and farming up towards level 6, is that TF finds it really hard to gank someone like Gwen as well. So if you put the Gwen in that first rotation as they did in X7 in those first 3 picks, you kind of stop the nullifying pick towards top side. Whereas TF going on towards the Graves, which of course, very lore-intensive reasons there to have them at each other's throats. At least before the new Destiny came.
Indeed.
The Gwen kind of takeaway from MNM as a potential answer to TF roaming top was very astute from me. And then obviously Trouble brought up, actually, at that point, just go bot. Let's see what happens there.
Got to call it out as well. We didn't really mention it in the last game, but obviously now level 6s have been hit, rather. Might start seeing some of those all-important roams from Tempt on that Twisted Fate, but the other thing that X7 has is the double Thunderdome. We meant so did Singularity that last game, where you've got Gwen W and Jin Zhao R. You've got that Halo Mist and that Crescent Guard that allows you to just put up a kind of a defensive wall for a solid 5 seconds. People can't fight for it.
Jaeger and Haro they just want that intimate touch. They want you to get up close and personal. I was like, no. I can't hear you from over here. Come give me a
closer. Come into the Thunderdome.
As Jaeger gives a couple of love taps over to Bista as he puts up the Halo Mist as well. This is Yoi. Ooh, this is my zone.
He could probably get this one. There's the threat. The needlework can't quite find that last hit. Babista managed to dodge out there with a quickly drawn use of the E there and gets the way out of danger. And now with the ultimate down.
Thing is, like, topside vision, the Bista without ult, very low HP. You're starting to wonder about what's going to happen with the TF before the next reset comes through. Of course, you don't have to teleport to reset cleanly and get back to lane. TF is going to teleport back mid. One of the strongest play patterns you have as a TF is teleporting mid immediately, queuing the wave twice, hitting the cannon a couple of times, and then just going somewhere else on the map. Because you have pretty good wave clear for someone that can go for Merc Treads first as well and still have those tier 2 boots and be very versatile of what plays you want to make. Is hovering bot side. They've already achieved that vision control on top side, but if you start blacking out both sides of mid lane vision, MNM just do not have the required information to adequately, again, staunch the bleeding in that term that we used earlier from TF's first ult.
Okay, so no ultimate used by Tempt yet, as we've mentioned, but we are now coming up towards Rift Herald spawning in about 20 seconds as Tempt trades back with Royal Cannon, who throw a Mistral Bolt there that stung just a little bit. The I think it's Looming Dread is the E, if I remember right.
That's a space, and then
I believe it's Looming Dread, not Looming Darkness.
Doom Gloom is the passive.
That's the one, exactly.
Hey, look at me. I'm a color caster that knows some ability names.
Indeed. Yeah, absolutely. But now we've got ourselves Haru and Tempt alongside Kana.
Oh, that's Ghostbox. They're really going for this.
Kana is going to try and get onto Haru. Flashes over the wall. Does not want that fight.
Okay, so checklist of things to be done against the TF, fight around the TF rather than away from him so we can turn up earlier. That's one down there for MNM. They do manage to get out something from the mid jungle, but then TF just goes somewhere else.
What a beautiful picture-in-picture. TF turning up top, but Kana is here as well. Gonna try and get a hold of some damage. It's gonna be so close. Gwen gets it, but does not quite have enough healing to hold on. All the while, though, there was a fight elsewhere. Royal Cannon has also died. That was a pickup. I believe, actually, he might have turned up as well. I'm not quite sure where he died, but he died somewhere. I believe Haru actually managed to kill him in the river.
Gone to meet his maker, pining for the fjords. He is an ex-Royal Cannon. As Hecarim is there on the top side and has level 6, and he's like, okay, sweet. Hecarim's now at a point where you can start winning the 2v2s, but had used that Ghost a little earlier. Now, Dr. Chaos trying to find his way towards that. Herald spotting it out, but doesn't find any angle to make a play at that point. X7 walk away with 1-for-1 on the top side. Again, as you said, another kill across the other place. And we're going to get ourselves a replay of that top lane fight and see how all this unfolded again. And this led, of course, to that Herald being started. Babista had been taking incrementally worse and worse trades against Jaeger. And this was just after the point where MNM thought, sweet, we've just won the mid-jungle 2v2. No way TF can turn up here, and then, you know, TF turns up anyway. And it gets very, very close. Conqueror's getting stacked, Gwen trying to get through all of that, healing from the 1,000 cuts passive as well. But at least it turns out for MNM into a 1-for-1. We turn back to live, and it's like we never left.
Do want to call out as well that I was correct in my summation. Haru did manage to catch out Royal Cannon in the river and get another kill there, so it did end up in that 2-for-1. Overall, though, I grant you, within that skirmish, it was indeed the 1-for-1. Either way, successful teleport top, all things said and done, and that will be the early gold lead to over to X7, which was what MNM were really trying to avoid.
So actually, going back to that 2-for-1 within a certain scope, I can actually use my physics degree for once in my life. It's about
happy for you?
It's about whether it's a closed system or not, or whether there's actually things within or outside of your scope.
Really?
Yeah,
that's where we're going with. Okay, take me deeper.
Wait until I go out onto the great canonical ensemble. That's where it really gets riveting, I tell you. More riveting than whatever's going to happen in this bot.
Are you sure? I mean, there's a herald coming down, and that appears to be both jugglers, and Jaeger's using an ultimate, so I suspect we might be able to see a bit of a dive here. One final on the Gwen for Jaeger!
Take that, you great canonical ensemble. Babista pulls out the big guns and blows Jaeger away.
I have never heard ever someone be insulted in the terms of "you great canonical ensemble."
Graves has a great canonical ensemble
books.
in his hands. As Tempt has a bit of a problem on his hands as well. It is around this bot side of the rift where the gaze is turned to once again. It's a dragon over the side of X7.
It is indeed. Kills have been even up. Gold about 600 or so apart, something like that. Dragon does go the way of X7 though. When Jaeger's going to be kicking himself there, thought he had the kill. It was bloody close.
It was, and you know this starts off just about as well as the other trades as Jaeger's been going to. Misses the first stack, doesn't get the actual slow right from the off. I think if that slow lands right at the start, it's probably an extra auto attack. Probably lands into another side of that too. But Babista uses the mobility, uses that ult, just straight up outplays.
Unfortunately for the side of Jaeger there, saw the solo kill in his eyes, didn't quite get it, and Babista instead picks up a kill, has themselves an eclipse. This is going to be the lethality Graves, which
I like
the
that,
likes
actually.
of Bwipo and stuff have been favouring over in the LCS.
We've seen X7 play a similar comp. They played the same mid-jungle that MNM did in their very first game with the Vex and the Hack Room. But much like we saw when Zoe was a bit more meta in, I don't know, like 2010 or so, 2020 rather, that would be a very long time ago, where we did actually see Graves kind of on top of these very long-range damage comps or diving comps, right? If you fire that ultimate across with that lethality, it's not going to be the Dark Harvest, of course, it's the fleet forward for laning phase. That extra, 100 to 200 damage comes in really handy when you're going on to someone like the FLS, who, if they stay alive and they sever a ult in your face, is going to do a lot of damage.
Got to call it out as well, Haru yet to use that Herald and needs to start thinking about it soon because he's only got about 30 seconds or so left on that if my knowledge of Rift Herald timers is correct, which is, potentially not actually in fairness. As Kana around this corner here, maybe going to try and punish this attempted gank from Haru, who's going to come out and help shove the wave. Pings are coming. Everybody's roaming down this way. Graves down the river as well.
Again, so Varus isn't going to be there. Dr. Chaos just about gets out the hook.
Does, but that is also the Destiny popped. No gate used in trade, and that second ultimate not getting too much. Instead, straight back to mid lane goes Tempt.
He's gone to another part of the studio.
You should find your own jokes that amusing. Like, oh look, it's lol, it's like me. I moved to the middle part of the
range I had to talk about. But either way, what that ult does is force Varus back into the bot side, back into the bot lane, because he's afraid of the TF coming through with some extra follow-up coming in there. So now you don't have Varus for the extra wave play. It is actually, of course, we didn't touch on it before, or at least I didn't. Yep. It's going to be the crit, it's going to be the Gale Force, a bit more mobility, not going to be the poke. But what this does mean, it did briefly open up a window for the Herald, but the Herald's gone. And now they look for a fight instead.
That's double flashes out. Royal Cannon and Dr. Chaos both having to burn the summoners there to get out of dodge. And nice little ult there from Kasing, throwing down the Glacial Fizzer, nearly put two members of MNM on ice.
But they don't have the Herald. I mean, hang on, was I completely blind?
They used the Herald in mid, yes.
Okay, the Herald's already gone. Okay, I was right in saying the Herald's gone, but I was looking too much at the Varus and like, ooh, let me make a funny joke, which is probably only
funny to you.
Yep, that's the one. Okay, but X7 do get a couple of plates. They don't get themselves that mid lane outer turret. They need to get a second Herald for that. That's something which MNM will now look to be fighting against. They will have first darkness by, well, they won't have first darkness by that point because it is coming up fairly soon, but they probably will have that ability once again to fight for it, depending on whether, of course, we get one of those scrappy 2v2s trying to beat TF to the punch.
Okay, so keep your eyes on that Dragon Timer in the top corner of your screen, and also keep an eye on Dr. Chaos, actually, who has just wandered into lane here for MNM, looking to try and put the Kosh down onto Jaeger's Gwen, but thus far isn't taking the bait, so it'll just be the ward, and it'll be a reset looking to be around and available, probably with the Dragon Timer coming up.
So Dragon Time's coming up in 2 minutes. We've got a Herald, which is, you can see that little hourglass on the minimap. That'll be coming up in the next minute and a half or so. They changed the timers for when it goes yellow, actually. So I keep forgetting exactly the time of when it goes from that.
I feel like 15 seconds on yellow, if I remember correctly, but I'm never quite right on that.
Anyway, so it's within a short time span. So let's have a check-in to see what's available. We have every ultimate across the board except for that TF ult, which will be coming up within the next minute as well. So we are looking at this with like the full armory available. And with that said, Kana is once again hanging around mid, trying to say, TF, you are not teleporting to a fight. You're going to be right there when it starts, and we're going to try and pick you off.
And Akasing's coming over to try and turn that one around, and
Varus is in bot lane.
Yeah.
Brave hook there, Dr. Chaos.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he wanted that one necessarily, but buying into the Chaos theory. On the other side, though, I do want to call it out. X7 have got 3 control wards all around the bottom river side of that mid lane, trying to control somewhere for Temp to go. Instead, they're going to move towards this top river. But MNM are kind of here in more force earlier. Kasing now in a dangerous position. Nata is here, going to try and get something. That's a flash away. The charge back there from Kana. That will be the Shadow Surge. Nata's still alive, though. Trying to keep himself alive. Misses the Moonlight Vigil. But now X7 going to try and turn around. Royal Cannon going to try and get up, but he lands the repeat ult. The cooldown comes back through, and now Haru dies as well. It's a double already for the Vex, who's continuing to Vex X7, not again. Reset City, it's here. Gonna try and get another one, but Bista gets that, and X7 get pulled apart by the little Yordle with the darkness.
Oh, call it his namesake. That fight was too tempting. They tried to find their way out of that deep diving fight, but, you know, we're talking about Vex, you know, occasionally not really being the 1v9 champion, needs a bit of setup. They have everything put to them on a silver platter in this fight. Kasing is not going to have another deathless game in the NLC so far. Gets split off from the team. TF is not there to even up the odds at this point. Dr. Gauss gives his life for the greater cause at this point, but that's at the cost of most of Nata's HP bar, and that's more combat relevant at this point. Temp is already not putting down the damage at this point, either trying to find a different angle and just arrives too late. I respect the idea, but it's a teleport too far.
And that's the first time I've seen that in pro play properly, where Vex gets a dash, which dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge once more, right over every wall in the jungle, it felt like. Comes out now at 2-1 and 2. Your Graves is 3-1 and 3. That is a lethality Graves that is snowballed.
Yes.
It's the gold is exactly where you want it, bluntly. I mean, Varus is he'll scale just fine. You've got it on these burst carries that you wanted to be there, who are going to be providing that burst damage when the dives come through. Okay, but X7 are back to the scene of the crime.
Okay, so as we said, again, actually this second Herald quite important for X7. If it allows them to unlock mid lane outer turret for however many years now, it has been one of the most important objectives in the game. X7 might have an extra route of ingress into the enemy jungle, an extra route to try and get that TF involved in a way which is not as negative as that last fight. And you know, so much of our pre-game was about X7. They are monstrous. They are so strong, but I wonder after facing JDXL if, you know, like maybe they've underestimated MNM a little bit, who've come in all guns blazing.
From 0 and 2 to 2 and 2, and now up to, well, 1,500 gold here in the mid-game of this series. They did exceptionally well at setting things up. We can see a look over here at the gold. Temp still actually ahead in the gold, despite, of course, dropping a couple kills there to Royal Cannon, but that's just TF prints a lot of money, and then it's the top side, really, where it's all changing apart. Yeah, well, I don't think Twisted Fate is nearly all that interested about legality, per se, at least law-wise, but it is Babista on this Graves that was a bit of a wild card there, you know, troubling yourself for a little bit like, I don't know how this goes into the Quen. I don't necessarily know whether it's the right pick in this matchup, but thus far, Babista kind of...
It's taken some outplays, put it that way.
Well. Yeah, he's done the outplays, right?
And you know, Jaeger has been solid. I wouldn't say that Jaeger has been the person really carrying the standard of X7. Was doing well enough in the laning phase, but now is in a place where they don't have a huge individual lead. They're going to have to bring things to bear in quite difficult team fights now.
And they've also got to be aware that they've got to be able to withstand the initial dive.
Yes.
And that is going to be a bit tricky. There's no Thresh Lantern here. You've got the Braum Shield you can put up, and that's good news in a lot of ways, but you know, the TF, the Aphelios, notoriously relatively immobile, and maybe that gets a bit risky for them, especially with the amount of items these guys have got.
And if you get round to a second item on Nata, because it's probably going to be the Bloodthirster second, normally when you get that Gale Force, between Braum and a Bloodthirster, and maybe some extra interference run through with stuff like the exhaust and other team members kind of buying some time, X7 can very much brawl their way back into this game. And that's actually something I say more about Bifrost than I would do about X7. It's like, we've fought our way into this mess and we're going to find our way out of it. And we'll have to see them later, of course, in the day in their own matchup. But X7 find themselves in a position where they don't have this passive win because of the gold they've accrued, because of the massive power of their individual members. They're going to have to really work for it now.
Still, despite being down a tower and down 3 kills, the fact is only 1,000 gold apart is a little alarming, actually. That's quite impressive.
Yes, yeah. And observers, I don't know whether we could get some individual golds up here, because I really want to see where the individual... There you go, there is. And most of it is, of course, in that top lane. Look at that juicy amount of gold. His temp now has to be worried about that mid-jungle duo. Found themselves up towards the top side of the map. But, you know, we were talking about this Graves, talking about the Bista as the wildcard. The wildcards come up tops here.
Now, dear brother of mine, not to embarrass you.
Right.
But I did, in fact, talk about the individual golds for Graves 30 seconds ago.
So this is not quite as bad. Okay, so you can tell us my... Okay, shut up.
I wanted to do that. I know that's not normally great casting, casting
well,
etiquette,
Sam,
but I'm also a bad person. I'm also your older brother.
Neither is crouching down while you're still entirely visible to the camera. Yeah, there are some things you think will work, and then you just don't actually see what your camera
That's
is.
true. That's true. It was funny, though. It was
much
great.
like you can go into several mid-jungle TVTs and not expect them to work out the way they would as well. Back into the game and back away from my very embarrassing features.
Oh, God. Sometimes I just like throwing you under the bus because I'm a bad person.
Throw me under Canna's Hecarim, that would be...
I mean, in fact, it's not a bus,
it's
it's just a lot of horses right now. The charge of the Light Brigade is very heavy this game, apparently.
Well, we've got cannons to the left of us, cannons to the right of us. Herald's trying to charge down, and an ult landing on X7.
Oh my days, it gets stopped. That was inches away from getting through, but MNM prevent the Herald, and considering how much X7...
And how much we talked about it as well. If we know about it, they certainly do. That second Herald being stopped is huge for the momentum which X7 were looking to try and garner back some of in this game.
And that's a frustrating point. That is a well-played stall there from MNM, who are feeling very happy about holding up that tower. It survived 2 Herald charges, one which didn't even reach the tower.
And again, this MNM squad just screams to me a team which is confident in itself, that has discovered its identity and knows all of these micro-interactions that they want to pull off. They know where the next fight is coming. It looks like it's going to be here. TF pops the ult, but hasn't found an angle anywhere just yet. Is trying to go down to the south and potentially catch the Graves.
Bista's potentially in trouble here. He's got to collect it, but I think his life might be being collected. It's a lot of damage. Can the auto secure? Not quite. And out goes Babista. Flash down, but does have the TP. Can turn up for this Infernal
and
Drake.
When you have that, the ace in the Caliburn ult from the Aphelios, if you ult, it does more damage than just the Q as well. It's an empowered mark. Maybe would have gotten the kill. It's a full 5v5.
All right, here they go. Jaeger's stepping forward. Skip and Slash is active. Haru now going to get in. That's a massive onslaught of shadows. The damage is huge. The Shadow Surge does so much work. It's a double again for Royal Cannon, who is taking the crown away from X7. Bow down to your king.
X7 try to find the pick would destabilize the 5v5, make it into something a bit more advantageous, but MNM, they're cool, they're collected, they use a flash, they use an ult, but yes, Babista manages to come back and put in just that extra amount of damage which comes through to what could be the straw which breaks X7's back. That's going to be a huge amount of kills. It's going to be a Baron. They do give up an Infernal Dragon on the other side, but it's not even sole point. X7 are left limping from this engagement.
Baron down, team fight down, and that was a gorgeous series of engages there. Hecarim gets in on all of them. Watch the Vex after as well. It's just glorious.
And, okay, so you don't have the Aphelios ult at this point. Yes, this is a really good weapon combo. Put down those turrets, get all of those extra attack resets, but that Nautilus ult just stopped any hope of that happening. How many auto attacks did this Aphelios get off? 1. That's 1 in the entire fight. Huge CC combo, huge burst combo. MNM sweep the fight.
It's just fear after fear after fear. It's looking like an Iron Maiden concert. I know, Fear of the Dark goes on for about 9 minutes. It certainly felt like it in that team fight. So much, just pure CC. The passive was stacked there for All Cannon. The doom and gloom definitely being to set in for X7 right now, who are desperately trying to stabilize, but they've got so many towers up and so much gold for MNM to gather with this and Baron buff on them.
And this is a really dangerous moment for X7 now, because they didn't get the TF rolling in the way they wanted to. They didn't manage to go bot lane at any point. They tried topside and it went even. MM did find that way to nullify that. And now when you have the Baron buff, allowing you to play on 2 lanes, play 2 lanes and kind of collapse with this Hecarim which can move around the map so quickly in his own right, you can't really leverage this TF to any extent that you want him to, and they're going for a top lane dive.
Here we go again. The onslaught of shadows comes through. Haru throws down the crescent guard. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. And
It's
just
doing pretty
coming
well.
through, and X7 are doing it. That's a massive Infernum ultimate. In comes the binding eclipse from the Gravitum as well. Shutdowns abound. Jaeger has the scissors, and he is looking to run with them. Best not tell the teacher, because he finds another kill in the top lane.
He's taking him to school. That was a dive too far. They do manage to collapse on one of these inner turrets, but they don't have the rest of their artillery ready to bring to bear. MNM, for how confident they've played out this game, that is a crucial misstep.
Huge turnaround there. It cuts the gold lead in half. Watch this dive again, and just the turnaround is obscene.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what happens on the bot side of this fight, because, I mean, the real star of this fight is that must be about 2,000 to 3,000 damage blocked by that Shinzo. That is an absolutely absurd moment, and, well, there you go. We might not be in a Ziggs in the game, but we have ourselves a Mega Infernum bomb. Comes through with so much damage. Nata, we kind of questioned, oh, do you really want to play that Aphelios into the Varus? Do you think that's a good idea? Well, when you play as well as this, absolutely yes.
Infernum spreads across 3 targets. It sets up for the binding eclipse from the Gravitum. It's exactly what you needed for the turnaround
we found the greatest battle in physics in this game, which is the Great Canonical Ensemble versus Needle and String Theory. Turns out the Jaeger comes out.
I'm desperately getting you not to explain either of these. Just leave them as complete blanks out in the history. No one understands what any of them mean. That's probably for the best. I suggest Google for those out there.
I know the names of them. I don't actually know what they mean, but I know what that last fight means. It means that X7 are back within 3,000 gold. And actually, when you get towards 25 minutes, 26 minutes rather, with a dragon advantage too, X7 are feeling pretty comfortable at this point.
Here we go again. They tried it the last time. It didn't work out, and Jaeger actually does manage to skip and slash away from a potential rotation. But all the while, yes, it was a feel-good moment, but MNM still playing with a bit of a front foot, going to step up and take this tier 2. And they have still got the gold lead. It's just not as significant as it was that top lane fight.
And what does that mean for items, right? Because yes, you do have 3 items on the Graves, but Babista didn't really get to do all that much. And if you're engaging onto the Jin Zhao first, as we saw in that last fight, it's all well and good having the long-range follow-up damage. That's exactly what Jin Zhao wants you to do. Waste all of your important ultimates right on top of it. So Haru really the MVP of that big turnaround once again. Just have to reiterate that again because it was so impressive at that point. And then Nata gets to clean up shop, and now you've got 2.5 items on both AD carries. It's not just the Varus who sat there with decent itemization. Nata's at the point where they don't even have the Bloodthirst. They've gone for the full DPS, just saying, if you give me a window, I'm going to DPS you down that I don't need the lifesteal.
Yeah, that shutdown there that came through, it gets him, that Lord Dominic's regard, as you said. We're looking at this top lane now. It's a Cosmic Drive in for Gwen. They've got nearly the Zhonya's complete as well. Yep. It's 2 items in on Tempt and Haru. Sorry, 3 items in on Tempt, of course, because of the relative inexpensiveness of the items he needs. He is ready to make the plays with the rapid fire with the Zhonya's.
What that means now is when you've got ghosts available on both your solo lanes, if you lose the initial engagement, if you have to fight a fighting retreat, that is awful for him, man. You do not get out from that point. You have too little move speed. You have to play against the Cosmic Drive move speed. The Ghosts, they're trying to turn up the objective first, maybe force X7 to come into them, and force another one of those Charge of the Light Brigades against the cavalry of Canna, but now they're looking for something else. Verisol forces the Gale Force.
Got a little bit close, but Nata is quick enough on the fingers there to avoid having to use anything like the Cleanse, but it does mean that Gale Force will be down for the incoming Infernal fight. Will MNM pull the trigger? Will they sound the horns and go charging in? Will X7 be able to force them to retreat like they did the last time?
Turrets down from Nata. They can't engage into that. These are great weapons for peeling back. And X7, once again, force off the fight. They pull off their TF ult, and they're looking for another angle. Once again, Tempt comes from the flank.
He's got the flank, he's got the Ghost, he's looking for the stun. It's on the Mystical, who has to cleanse. It's into the Everfrost as well. Dragon secured by Hecarim, but now the damage starts coming through. Look at the Chakrams. He's looking more like flipping. Just looking more like, I forget the name of the anime. It doesn't really matter right now because he's going to keep flying forward with all those Chakrams available. Going to find another stun core, but Babista dies as well. It's Naruto, that's what I was thinking about. But maybe...
Oh, he's trying to look for the fear, but he's caught out.
Ooh, gets the fear, the exhaust comes down as well. My memory failed me, but it certainly wasn't a problem for the side of X7, who managed to secure the team fight.
That's the Vexel. They've pulled it off. They're trying to go for another kill.
They're going to go in. That's a huge amount of damage. Cleanse. Flash. Looking for the card. It's not there in time, and now Tempt needs to retreat. Vex firing on all cylinders. The Shadow Surge securing the kills they need.
No,
not again. He keeps firing. avoiding them. You can't keep doing it. Now Roll Cannon gonna get stunned in place and will go down, but it means that Haru potentially in trouble. Cannon's gone forward, but that could be Jaeger teleporting back in over the wall. It's taking them away from Michiku, and he gets cut down to size as well.
Oh, it's the Blast Plant away from the Varasalt. Maybe one last bit of peel, but what a frantic affray. Top 10 enemy betrayals from that Blast Plant. And it's still going.
He didn't use it. Dr. Chaos gets knocked up with the 3. Talon, strike, and Haru gets that one as well.
It's still going.
Michiku now in trouble. Gonna try and fade this one out. Here comes Babista, who's teleported back in. One Templar top laner teleports to turn it around. The other returns the favor a few moments later. Now
Surely
Jaeger
not again.
is gonna be in
Surely
trouble.
not again.
He gets over the wall with the Blasco. Michiku is gonna be around the corner. Babista fighting with Jaeger. Is there a stopwatch of him? I have no idea. Babista, no, he gets out. Can't quite hit the scissors, and that means Jaeger gets out alive as well. What on earth did I just witness?
I think you just witnessed attack on Jaeger. Gets out of that alive. 1 versus 2 at the very end. But that was less anime, more Shakespearean play. An act in 3 or maybe even more acts at that point. You have a moment to breathe, use it well. We don't know when we get another one of those going to... I don't know where they're going to start. They're going to take us right through the long haul. Starts with TF blowing the cleanse very early. That does remove some of the safety which Michigan can play around. Of course, remember that they used the Varasol earlier. That's one of these kind of keep away, disengage mechanics already gone from MNM. Yes, the Brawl Mult goes down as well. That slows them. The move disadvantage already was over to X7, but it just keeps going. And what really impresses me is both teams' ability to really pull that decision-making trigger and say, look, this is the moment we go back in. The Vexalt has been held all this time. There's still an Ignite at this point. Haru splits from the team. That's one person that can't fight, and Nata doesn't have a Bloodthirster, doesn't have his ult at this point, doesn't have a Severum, can't pull back from this engagement, kind of cleans up the kill, and then we see Vex do Vex things for not just the first time this game.
Not again.
But
unreal.
But like, if you tell me at this point, like, oh yeah, there's probably gonna be like another fight for like 30 seconds, I'll be like, so which solo queue region is this from? Because that's exactly what it feels like. It's another teleport in. Like, this is very free for League of Legends. This is where you kind of just say, look, pop quiz, what's the mechanic you need to pull out of the pocket at this point to win through the fight? We've been through like a 2-minute replay of utter madness.
Even! Look at it! It's like 300 gold apart! This is unreal! My memory might have failed me in the last team fight, but it's clearly brought right back to even. It's all wiped clean. And just... I'm now looking at this and like, who on earth is ahead? And who even is advantage at this point? I don't even know.
We are. The audience is the entertainment factor is through the roof, if nothing else, and a lot of that is high up on the metrics too. Now, X7, we found that they found some ways into the backline. They found some ways to blow some defenses. It's the NLC ARAM once more. Nata has an Infernum, has a grouped up set of characters to go towards.
It's not a Bloodthirster, none of that. He's going pure, raw damage in this fight. 3 items across pretty much all of the major carries on both sides right now. It's 4 for Tempt, who's completed the Void Staff.
Oh, that's the Varasol finally hit someone.
Massive amount of damage onto Roll Cannon as well, though, who's taken about half HP, and the needlework starts coming through. Jaeger with the Thunderdome active, looking at so much damage. Haru gets that one, Inferno comes through. Roll Cannon gets knocked by the Crescent Guard and doesn't secure the kills, doesn't secure the resets he was looking for. Tempt will teleport into MNM's blue side jungle, but they're all retreating back towards the Baron.
Tempt on the flank, has the gold card once again.
Finds it! That's a huge one, and it's secured by Tempt, who gets that one. He was too tempting a target, and he punishes them. You don't get to play with a man named after what you got punished for.
And you know what we were saying earlier about, X7, they have to fight their way out of this. They have to put themselves into a very difficult scenario. They have to find a way back from this. Well, they've only gone and done it. They've only done it several times back to back. It's not done yet. They find themselves a Baron at the back end of this, but once again, the real MVPs are these kind of temporary front lines. Jaeger still full HP after this initial engagement. After this, Haru just pops the ult, looks at this and says, right, cool, there's another Varasol charging up. But the amount of mitigated damage that X7's top and jungle are managing to do is really exemplary at this point in the game.
We called it out already. The Thunderdomes are certainly working out very well for X7 in that fight. They get to move back towards the Baron. They picked off They
get the mid-outer turret, yeah!
Mid-outer turret, which took 2 Heralds, and now a Baron buff of 33.5 minutes to finally secure.
You know, like the like the Sponge one, like 33 minutes later.
That's basically it. Yeah.
Yes. Ukuleles in the background to this. I cannot in good conscience call this a fiesta. It has been magical. It has been wonderful. And it's still going. We've
F
still
is
got
for
like
fire
another fight
that
in this
burns
left,
down
buddy.
the whole town. And other such SpongeBob references. We have ourselves a very close game. X7, though, come out trumps in that pivotal mid lane fight. It's got them a Baron. They are down Soul Point. Worth noting that if MNM can hold on, they might be able to secure that, which would be a big deal. But right now, they need to hold on during this Baron buff, during this shove, during all of these items.
How quickly can X7 choke out MNM? How quickly can they remove their ability to play around? The Infernal lands and it crits. Push force back.
But it doesn't spread all that wide. I was expecting a little more damage, but it doesn't seem to matter. They're going to go forwards anyway. Jaeger's popped the ghost. Now Dr. Ghost has to be forced back. It'll get the inhibitor, but what about the re-engage? Never mind that. Haru's going straight in. Pressicard is down and shot through the heart. That'll be another couple kills. Their temp falls down, but it's in trade for 3. And they're going to pull away just for a moment, wait for the minion wave, and they might be looking to end. Well, Cannon, Jaeger, Canna, they're all going to try and see what they can do to make this end, to make this stop maybe. That'll be a stopwatch, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The stun is there for the personal space, but it's not respected. The door to the bedroom is knocked down, and that will be one teenager put to the sword. As X7 hold on and win this match, but my God, did MNM make them work for it.